Hey, what's going on? It's your boy E here with Cannabis, back in the grow room, and we're here for another episode of Intro to Organics. And so today, what we're going to be talking about is the nutrients and watering. And a lot of people, don't be scared. I don't pH my water.
What?
Well,
Bro, what
don't
are you
get me in the
talking about, man?
comments. I don't pH. I don't use RO
Bro, I'm
water. I
out,
use
man.
regular sink water. Uh, I do try to let it sit out 24 hours before using it with the plants, and I do keep it on the aerator when I do use it. Um, but yeah, let's get right into it. So I'm not really going to tell you like what specific nutrients to use for your grows, but I use down to earth dry amendments, but I also use other organic amendments from various brands. Um, so I don't want you to focus in too much on the specific branding of the organics, but more of what's the effects and what it adds to the grow. So when it comes to organics, like I said, I don't pH my water. I don't really feel the need to. I know in a previous video I talked about how I don't really like to force feed my plants. To me, force feed them or feed them overly, kind of like Ronnie Coleman, like you're injecting them full of steroids and kind of like hoping for the best. I don't want to take that approach when it comes to my plants. I don't want to force food into them, or force a nutrient that the plant is not being receptive of. Most people call it nutrient lockout. A lot of times, when the plants really aren't uptaking the nutrients. So what I like to do with my dry amendments when I'm making teas, I usually like to make a little top dressing the week before. I use that top dressing on the top towards the end of the previous week. Now, the reason for that, in my mind, I'm preparing the roots with the dry amendments, is getting in the soil, the plant taste it a little bit and be like, oh, okay, I like this. Or, oh, this is some new food. Let me get ready to indulge. And so then when I hit it with the tea the following week, it'll be more readily available to uptake those specific nutrients. And then when it comes to making my teas and nutrients, I use a super diluted formula. So I don't want to mix what's on the box exactly. I really only take like a couple shakes in each 5-gallon bucket that I have bubbling in order to make the teas. And the reason why I use that method is because, to me, less is more. If I see a deficiency, or if I see the plant needing more, or it doesn't look like it's getting its maximum out of it, I can always add more nutrients. But you can never take any away. And once the damage is done, in my mind, the trauma has ensued and the damage is done. The end product is affected. So it's really about babying these plants. And the good thing about using a super diluted tea and nutrient mix, when it comes to these plants, I can feed it the tea every single time. I don't have to mix it between going from clean to nutrient water, but I do. And here's the reason why. So usually the first part of the week, I introduce the teas, and then the second half of the week, I introduce clean water or just mineral water. Just to break it up, give it a break, give it a rest, give it time to really breathe, and time to break down the nutrients that's remaining in the soil from that week, from the previous week, from the teas, and give it that chance to really clean and clear the soil. And then you got to think, when I'm giving it that clear mineral water and that clean pure water, I'm also putting a top dressing for the next week on top of the soil. And it's just a little dusting, a little bit, again, just to introduce the plant to that nutrient. So it can start the breaking down process and the being receptive of that nutrient. And so when it comes to watering the plants, like I said, I can feed them every day if I want to. I can give them straight tea, no break, and they will be fine. But when it comes to watering, I like to keep the soil very wet, very moist. I think in the mindset, hey, these can be hydroponically grown, so I can't overwater them unless I just have them sitting in the water with the soil. But you really can't overwater them from my mindset and how I do. I usually do like a half a gallon to a full gallon of water each watering. And then sometimes that can even be twice per day when I'm in these 5 gallons. If I'm in something bigger like a 7 gallon, you would have to water probably like a gallon each time. But for 5 gallons and under, it's between like a half a gallon to under a gallon of water per watering that I use. And then sometimes I'll give it a day dry back in the middle of the week if I do see it accumulating too much after each watering, or if I see that the runoff is accumulating faster than normal, then I'll go ahead and give it a dry back, because then that just means the plants aren't uptaking as much water as I'm putting in right then. So I just need to adjust it per the plants. So that's what you really want to pay attention to. Always pay attention to what your plants are doing and the uptake of your plants and how much water they're drinking, and base your water schedule off that. That's why I really don't like using automated systems when it's a small setup, single tent setup, because it's more trouble than it's worth trying to get 4 individual lines and making sure they're working right. And then you have to really be into the uptake of each individual plant, and you can't really adjust that with an automatic watering system. It's pretty much they all get water at the same time. But when it's a smaller setup, you only got like 4, 5 plants, you don't need an automatic watering setup. Go ahead and hand water your things every day. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes. You have the time. These are your babies. Take care of them. So when it comes to watering, you will really be able to monitor and see your plants. Watering is really based on a per plant basis. So I can give you guidelines and say, hey, water it a gallon every time you step into the grow room. But if your plants is not receiving it and not receptive of that watering schedule, it's not going to be successful for you. So overall, get in tune with your plants and how much water they're drinking, and then you can judge your drybacks and things like that. I do water till runoff each time. So again, that's when the varying amounts come in, because you'll pour a little bit in there and gauge and see how much runoff comes off and how fast it comes off, and then you know, okay, let me back off on the water right now. Okay. And so it's pretty simple when it comes to nutrients and watering plants. When it comes to organics, it's pretty much you want to keep your NPK in mind when you are making your teas and choosing your amendments to put in your teas. I find the best success with mixing my amendments week to week and changing the amendments from week to week. You get a bigger terp profile from your flower. In my last run, I got 7 different terps showing up, which was amazing. So definitely try different amendments, mix and match throughout the weeks. And then you want to make sure you tailor your nutrient teas for the specific phases that the cannabis plant is growing in. So of course, you know, veg, you're going to need higher nitrogen, more N, and then towards the end, more P and K. And always remember to mix in your trace minerals. Those help tremendously. Helps with the stalks and just the overall health of the plant. Putting those minerals into the soil mixes I think is the most beneficial thing and aspect of it with the soil chemistry and life inside the soil. Those trace minerals really help. So all in all, with watering and the nutrients, it's pretty easy when it comes to organics. Don't let anybody steer you wrong. You can do it. And remember, keep growing.